And there we are, straight in at number 1. So obviously an extreme niche long tail here with the location, but ranked number 1 in less than 24 hours. And now what's that cost? I've spent $0.07. So it's only cost me 7 cents to publish those 20 pages. Today I want to share with you the immense value of low volume keywords and specifically hidden keywords. Now these are the keywords that are never going to show up in a tool like Ahrefs or SEMrush, but that doesn't mean they don't actually have any volume. Plus I'm also going to share with you a free keyword tool that allows you to access these keywords and unlock their full power. Now what you generally find with these keywords is that although they're low volume, there's enough of them that actually when you aggregate them all together, there's a significant volume there, especially if you're working in a high ticket niche where every sale counts. Plus, let's not forget that because they're not showing up in these tools, it means they tend to be far less competitive, because your competitors are not targeting them so easily. In fact, in order to identify a lot of these niches, you have to have a website already. Now, there are numerous benefits to performing this technique. One is simply by ranking for more keywords with volume, you get more traffic. And now it's true. A lot of your content is going to overlap with these other keywords, but because your content isn't quite so aligned with those specific niches, you're probably not ranking that high up for those particular variations. Whereas if you produce a page that squarely targets one of these niche variations, then a lot of the time you will rank 1 for that particular term through relevance. Now before we get any further, this tutorial does get quite technical. So I put together a really comprehensive SOP for you, every step included. So if you click the link below, you can download that for free. Just do file and then make a copy and save it as your own. This will make it really easy to implement what I'm telling you, but also you can give it to a team member, because honestly, whether you're building your own sites in-house or if you've got clients, there is money in this process. So it is worth training a team member to be an absolute rockstar A player at this particular process. You could quite easily build a service business around offering just this particular framework. You can have a really simple pitch saying, did you know you're probably sitting on a gold mine? All these hidden keywords that you didn't even know about. Pay us $500, we'll connect to your site and we will fill those gaps for you. And you can simply watch as your traffic and conversions explode as a result. Only takes you about 10 minutes to do, but the impact is massive. In fact, hold that slight edit here. I think this is a big opportunity. So as a bonus, I've added some cold email scripts. By using some copywriting principles, this gets around the headache of trying to differentiate your SEO service and sounding just like everyone else. This gets straight to ROI. Clearly outlines for the business owner who doesn't understand SEO why this is important, why it's valuable, and how easily they could unlock this potential for just $500. Plus a clear illustration of what success could actually look like and the massive ROI they can unlock as a result. So this will help you stand out from the crowd with a new technique that not everyone else is pitching. You can get your foot in the door with some business owners with a really high margin service, build that trust, and then turn that into a more long-term retainer. So full SOP of how to do the technique, plus a load of sales scripts in the link below. So you can already kind of get an idea of what I'm talking about here, because I'm already number 1 for Loft Conversions Weybridge, but that's only got an alleged volume of 20 per month, whereas we can see there's actually 40 searches a month for Velux Loft Conversions Weybridge. And I'm at number 5 because I've not particularly targeted this keyword, I'm just ranking there by accident. So if I had a separate page that is purely talking about Velux Loft Conversions Weybridge, it's very likely I'll end up ranking much higher than 5. And then the second big benefit to doing this comes down to topical authority. And that basically means that Google's much more likely to rank you if you've covered every topic within a niche rather than just one of them. So if I can be the absolute go-to resource on loft conversions in Weybridge, then all of my keywords are likely to benefit from that, and therefore I rank higher across the board. So to do that, we need to address all those different search intents, and we want to perform internal linking so that Google can really clearly see the relevance between those pages, and that will give us that hidden authority bonus. Now you might be thinking, what about one-page websites? Isn't this one of your one-page websites? And yes, absolutely, I still say register an exact match domain like Loft Conversions Weybridge, build a very quick AI website on it that looks decent in about 5 minutes. You can see what this one looks like here. So this didn't take long at all. This is about 10 minutes work with AI, and you can see whatever the keyword is in the domain, you're very likely to rank number 1 for that particular keyword. So is publishing more content therefore a contradiction? Well, not really. My whole point around one-page websites is you don't want to do this older technique from 2 or 3 years ago where you have a website with hundreds, maybe even thousands of web pages in the hope to build a mythical level of topical authority. We saw a perfect example of that recently with HubSpot's website. Now, HubSpot having this business of what it called inbound marketing, basically a kind of rephrasing of generate SEO traffic and then have lead magnets on each page with a pop-up. By publishing so much content, it was getting 13 million visitors per month, and that was only in January. And yet over the last few weeks, what we've seen is most of that traffic dropping away, and now we're down to just 4.5 million. And this is where we've seen a clear shift with Google over the past couple of years. It used to be that to get more traffic, make more money, you just needed a bigger website with more content on it. And what loads of people were doing was they were getting extremely high up in the sales funnel to the point where this content wasn't even relevant to their audience anymore. And that's kind of what HubSpot was doing. If I take this back to 6 months ago, you'll see some of the content HubSpot was publishing really wasn't that relevant. So we've got famous quotes, they were number 1. Shrug emoji, they were number 1. Cover letter examples, mission statement examples, elevator pitch. So you can see here, 160,000 pages. So of all this content, how much of that was actually contributing to their bottom line? Not very much. And now with the rise of AI, we have seen Google being much more stringent in terms of it tends to want smaller, high-quality websites of relevant information. So when I talk about one-page websites, yes, absolutely, you can rank a single page. But if you do identify opportunities for supporting content, I would recommend doing anywhere from maybe 5 to 20 supporting pages if you're able to identify these keywords and topics that are not served by the main homepage so well. And this is a perfect example of that. Velux Loft conversions and Loft Playroom conversions, we're basically sitting on opportunity here. But the good news is I'm not advocating building a whole writing team like SEOs used to do years ago, nor am I saying you've got to grind out hundreds of pages of content. We just want to identify the few keywords that are big opportunities for us, and then I just want to complete that cluster with a bulk AI tool. Because yes, Google doesn't want us publishing hundreds of pages of AI content anymore, but if we're just completing a silo, maybe 5, 10, 20 pages, then I've got no problem with doing that in bulk. But first, hidden keywords, how do we actually identify them? Well, the answer is Google Search Console. Google Search Console is probably the best free keyword research tool out there because you get this real-time data. So to be fair, Ahrefs have done a pretty good job of identifying a couple of other keywords we should be targeting with this website. Normally, that doesn't happen. You've got your main keyword, but then anything below maybe 20 searches a month just doesn't really show up. And these numbers tend to be particularly inaccurate at lower levels. Whereas in Search Console, we can see all these variations. So we've got the Velux one, but we've also got dormer lofts, garage conversions, bungalow loft, wraparound extension, hip to gable loft conversion. So is any one of these keywords really going to move the needle that much for us? Probably not. But there's a very strong chance that if we write an article on hip to gable loft conversion weighbridge, no one else will have done that. So it's very likely that's going to go bang straight at number 1. And therefore, the few people over weeks and months who actually make that search, they're going to come to us. So if you do that 10 times across all these different niches, then that could actually add up to a significant amount of revenue. Then, like I say, we have the topical authority benefit, where because you've ticked off all these sub-niches, they should all help each other out, and all your content should rank higher as a result. So I'm already number 1 for Loft Conversions Weighbridge, but if you find your website stuck, then performing this optimization only takes a few minutes. That could be that nudge you need to push this higher up. So how do we do it? Well, first of all, we've got a lot of keywords here and a lot of them are overlapping. So we basically need to use ChatGPT to try and clean up this list so we have a straightforward keyword list we can upload to a bulk tool. So for that, we just use this prompt. You're an SEO expert specialist. From the list of search queries provided, generate a clean list of unique keywords, remove any duplicates, overlapping phrases, or queries with minor variations that target the same keyword intent. The final list should include only distinct keywords that can serve as primary topics for dedicated articles. So we drop that into ChatGPT, and now we want our list. So you can export it here. I'll now open that. So that's then given us all the keywords. So we copy that list, and now we go to ChatGPT where we put in our prompt, paste in that list, and go. And now we can see that's providing us with a refined list where we've not got those overlapping terms anymore. And in this process, you're also going to end up with other locations, which are also good, and also the broader location like the county, so Surrey. So this is probably something I've not really said enough. Just because you've got your particular service business targeting one town, it doesn't mean you shouldn't have pages mentioning other towns around the area, because why not? If you build a website for each town, and then each of those websites references all the other towns, then you basically got 5 different websites, each one with 5 locations on it. That's maximizing your chance to actually rank. There's a good chance in some of those locations, the top few spots might be all your websites, whether it's a home page or an inner page. So now we have a choice. You can potentially go through each of these writing it as perfect content in Surfer, whether you're using AI, whether you're handwriting, whatever you want. But like I say, this isn't going to be a big revenue driver. I just want to do this as fast as possible, so I'm going to do it in bulk. Now, the market for bulk AI tools is obviously crazy. Everyone's basically setting up an API with OpenAI or Claude and then offering you the software, but actually the software is a very expensive rate compared to what they're paying for the API usage. So these days, I'm really favoring content writers where they let you just plug in your own OpenAI API key. So to do that, if you haven't already, just go to platform.openai.com. Then under organization, you should have API keys, and then you can just create a new API key. Then we're going to be using cuppa.ai. Now, you can use whatever tool you want. Like I say, if you want to handwrite these, you can. If you want to do ChatGPT, you can. If you have a different bulk AI content tool, use that, absolutely. But Cuppa's my favorite at the moment, just because you just plug in your API key, and then it's got really good prompting, it's got really good bulk mode, they'll automatically post to your website. It's just really simple, but I'm not saying it's absolutely the best out there. So first, just put in your OpenAI key there. You can also put all these other API keys in there as well. So whether you want to use DeepSeek, Perplexity, Anthropic, remember using these APIs is extremely cheap. And then we need to go to integrations, because this allows us to connect to WordPress. So in order to do that, first you want to go to your website and go to users, and then you want to go and edit your user, and then we want to come down here and add a new application password. So new application password name, we can just call that Cuppa, add new application password, and it's then given us this temporary password. So now we go back to Cuppa, we want the WordPress site URL, that's just the plain URL, it's not going to be WP admin. We want our username, which we can get here, paste that in there, and now we want our application password that we've just created. So we copy that, paste in the application password, add connection, and this is where we find out if it's worked or not. That says added successfully. So now we can just go to create content and then bulk generation. So we can choose which model we want. Again, depending on what API keys you've got, there are various options available. Project name, just call it Weybridge. And down here, we can add in our list of keywords. So if we go to ChatGPT, we've got our filtered list here. Now there might still be some overlap here. Loft conversion services, and then Loft extension, You could argue, are they not the same thing? I honestly wouldn't overthink it. Google is going to very quickly choose which of these it actually likes and ignore the rest. Now we've only got a handful here, so I'm not too worried. If we did have a lot, then I'd be tempted to come back in a month or two, and then anything that's not getting impressions or is not ranking very well, I just delete those articles. So if we found that Google really liked Loft conversion services, but wasn't giving any attention to Loft extensions, then I would just bin Loft extensions, That's called content pruning. It means we can keep our site small, tight, and relevant. Google doesn't want to waste its cruel budget on all these spammy AI sites. So it's giving you signs that it doesn't like certain pages, get rid of those pages. So we just paste in these keywords here, and we see these will all come through. Now you can go through and fine tune how it actually works, but at this stage, I just want a page of vaguely optimized content just to complete that topical cluster and see if we can rank for any more of these. If I find I'm ranking number 1 for Loft conversions Oxshot, wherever that is, and I'm getting calls, getting inquiries for it, then I probably would go in and improve that page. But at this stage, if I try to make each one of these pages perfect, when there's only really 10 searches a month for these pages, then there's a good chance I'd never actually get all this done. So that all looks good to go, and we can just click generate all. So that's going to work away in the background now. It does take a bit of time to go through because obviously we're generating a lot of content here, but then we'll be able to very easily publish all of that to WordPress in one go. So you can see over time, various of these jobs are now showing as completed. Some are still generating, so overall it's pretty efficient. You can't expect it to be instant, so just take a quick break, and then when it's ready, we publish the project, and then we're done. Those are all now completed, so we just go to Publish Project, and then select your website from the drop down. I can now choose the author. We've only got one. If you want, you can choose categories. I'm not too worried about that. You can set it to draft or just straight to publish, and now we just hit publish. So it doesn't take long at all. So now if we go back to posts, we should see those coming through, and then we see pretty much instantly as those have come through. So we're up to 9 if I just refresh that again, and now we're up to 20. So we can have a look at what this content actually looks like. Cuppa does have options for AI images as well, but personally, I just want the text. Remember, this is only V1. We just want to see if these pages are going to rank, which of these are going to be the winners. This is only a 10-20 minute optimization rather than like a full perfect site build. So those are all done. So what I recommend now is make sure these pages are easy to crawl and access. So I'm going to go to my homepage and now just add a new block at the bottom of posts. So add a block, we can just do latest posts, and then there should be a setting here, and then just toggle the sidebar at the top so you can get the block settings. Currently it's set to number of items 5, and I'm just going to bring this out to 20, because that means everything we've just published is going to be linked to from the homepage. So now all these posts are at the bottom. This is just the quick and dirty approach. Ideally, we want each of these pages to have related posts at the bottom so that they all algorithmically link together. And you can also run proper internal linking so that within the text they actually contextually link to each other in a logical way. But now, just to be a bit more aggressive, I'm using the free Instant Data Scraper Chrome extension in order to grab all these URLs at once. So I had to click try another table a few times until it found those links. And I'm just going to copy all of those. To head to Omega Indexer, because again, Google's getting bloated. There's simply too much content out there for it to deal with. So while in the past you would be able to publish all this content and then over the next few days and weeks it should index quite naturally, these days it's getting much tougher to get stuff indexed. So in this case, I'm just going to use an external indexing tool, which basically forces Google to acknowledge that this content exists. So this should go through relatively quickly. And by doing this, in the past when I've done this, generally you can get rankings within 24 hours. So given this is all very low competition content, I would not be at all surprised if some of these pages started popping up in the top 3 of Google within a couple of hours. And so we just submit. So what have we done? We've identified that there are all these niches out there that people are searching for, but the keyword tools don't really pick them up. And although they're very low volume, if you aggregate them all together, there is still some good volume there. So by using Google Search Console, we can go through and find absolutely everything that has triggered at least some impressions over the last weeks and months. And then using Cuppa, we've published all of those in bulk. We know they're super low competition. So if anyone searches one of these terms again in the next few weeks and months, they're going to come across our page number 1. And what Google sees is a much more authoritative website that's ticked every box and covered every base. And now what's that cost? If we go into my OpenAI dashboard and go to usage, we can see today's the 19th of February, and there we are, 19th of February. I've spent $0.07. So it's only cost me 7 cents to publish those 20 pages. Now they're not the best content in the world, but they don't need to be, because we know from Search Console that we're already ranking for these queries, and these are hyper niche long tail queries. It's not going to take much to actually rank for them. And now to prove that point, it's less than 24 hours later since I did this work, and we can see all these URLs now show as submitted, indexing requested. So within Omega, you can just check the index here, and all that does is perform a simple site colon search to tell you which of these have already indexed and which haven't. So perfect example here, site colon, and then it's a full URL with Loft extension Surrey. And we can see that page was indexed 21 hours ago. But indexing is one thing. What about ranking? Well, if I search bungalow loft conversion Weybridge, I then scroll down here past the ads, we've got the organic results as 1, and there we are at number 3. Now let's go back and try another one. Let's try this one, loft conversions Chertsey. So hit enter on that one, and past the ads, past the AI overview, we've then got 1, then we've got the local pack, 3, and then there we are at 21. So not too bad in that case. Remember, brand new page, straight in at 21. That will rise up nicely. Let's have a go at this one, L-shaped lofts Weybridge. Hit enter there. So then we've got sponsored at the top. And there we are, straight in at number 1. So obviously an extreme niche long tail here with the location, but ranked number 1 in less than 24 hours. And now if we go back to Search Console, I'm only looking at the past 24 hours. We're not going to have a lot of data on this yet, but we can see that page, loft playroom conversion Weybridge. That's now there at position 15, and that's had an impression. So over the next few days, all these pages should be at the top of their game and really pick up a lot more impressions and traffic as a result.